What's going on, guys? This video I will be servicing a rear shock on this 2021 KX450. Now this is going to be pretty much the same steps from 2019 to 2023 on the KX450s that come with the Showa shock. Now this is going to be just a servicing. All we're looking to do is get the old fluid out, fresh new fluid in, and give it a good nitrogen charge. Because in this shock, everything's good. The shock seal is good, the shaft's good, it's been performing well, so we're just looking to freshen it up and make it feel like new again. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to record where he has his rebound set at, but instead of turning it all the way in to see where it's set at, I'm going to go the opposite way and turn it all the way out, because I'm going to leave it all the way out throughout this job, so when it's time to bleed the shock, we can slide the shaft up and down real easily without the rebound getting in the way. So let me go ahead and count this outward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 turns. So let me write that down. I'm sorry, not 11 turns, 11 clicks. I'll just write 11 rebound right there. And during this job, these clicker settings won't change any, and we're not going to be messing with them, so I don't have to worry about them. We can see it's stock though, because all three of these dots are still lined up, so he's never even made any adjustments on this shock yet. Now I'm going to remove the spring, but I'm going to mark it first because the way I like to do this is I like to set it up where when I put the spring back on, I can put it at the exact preload that it's currently at, so he won't even have to set his sag. This he's just gonna, all he has to do is bolt this thing on, or actually I'll be bolting it on for him, and go out and ride. It's gonna feel just like before. It's gonna have the same sag as before. The only difference is it's gonna feel fresh and new with fresh fluid in there and nitrogen, so it's gonna have a little bit of a more composed, dampened feel. Okay, see where this line of numbers is right here? I'm gonna use that as an indicator and follow that right here, and I'm gonna put a mark. Just gonna punch a mark right here on the spinner. There we go. I got this little dimple right there. So that's I'm going to use that to line that up when I'm done. And then let me get a splat head here, and I'll count the lines of the threads here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should I, maybe no, I won't count that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 thread lines. So I'll write that down. Just put 8 and L. There we go. Alright, I can go ahead and remove this now. Just loosen up this Allen right here, and that's going to allow us to send that collar. Get the spring off of there. There we go. Let's see how tight it is. Yeah, I got to budge a little bit. Let me get a tool. Just going to use this tool right here. If you don't have a tool like this, there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. You can even stick a punch in there and just tap it with a hammer. Whatever it takes to get it done. I might be able to spin it by hand now. Yes, I can. Awesome. And for this job, we will be using SS25 shock fluid. I'll show you that in a minute. That is the OEM fluid for these Showas. Okay, we have to slide this up. There's a clip underneath there. Of course, there's a million different ways to do this as well, but what I'm going to do is stick this right underneath that cup so it doesn't go into the spring. You just got to tap, spin it a little bit. It's starting to expose it. Just got to keep working around it until you expose that clip enough that you can slide it on out of there. We are getting there. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Get a flat head here. There we go. That's all we're looking to remove. Now we have to get this off. So let's see here. Got that off. And we'll clean all that stuff up before we put it back on. Take a look at the spring here. See if there's a top or bottom. That's the bottom where they have the rate indicator. That pink lets you know what rate this is, and that's going to be on the bottom. Okay. Up here we have this little collar. We're just going to take that off for now. Set that aside just so we don't have to worry about losing that. So here we go. We have the shock. Let's see how the nitrogen feels. I'm just going to compress it and just check feel the overall condition of the shock and if there's any air or anything. No, it feels good. It kind of came up a little slow. It makes me wonder if it's a little low on nitrogen. I mean, obviously we're going to be servicing it and filling up with nitrogen, but let's just check to see where it's at. There we go. That thing's hard to get your fingers in there. Pull that cap off. I'm just going to use this air pump tool that you use on your air forks on dirt bikes. These are really accurate and they're really good for this kind of stuff. Alright, so let's see where it's at. Just out of curiosity. The nitrogen level in the shocks go down over time. Now, I disagree with some people. Some people think it just bleeds out. That's not too bad. It's at it's at 117. It's not too bad. But some people believe it bleeds out through time. I honestly don't think it bleeds out. Nitrogen molecules are pretty large and they kind of hold pretty well. It's one of the benefits of putting them in your car tire is you don't have to worry about your cars losing air pressure over time. But anyway, what I believe it is the shaft. Every time the shaft goes up and down in the shock, there's a shaft seal. And it's going to lose a little oil through the life of the shock as oil kind of cleans the shaft, and as the shaft goes up and down, it's just going to lose oil naturally. It's just what happens. And as the oil volume decreases in here, the bladder expands to take up the void, which will cause the pressure to drop. And so I believe that's what we're looking at here when we see pressure droppage, but no big deal. Let's let the nitrogen out. All right, let me get rid of this sand right here. Gonna go ahead and knock this cover down. Well, they only gave you one hole on one side. That is weird. They usually give you a hole on each side. There it is. It came off. I'm doing that so we can clean underneath here, get that all cleaned up, and also because when it's time to bleed the shock, we're gonna have to keep our eye on that. But let me go ahead and take this outside and clean her up real quick, and I'll be right back. Well, actually, let me put this on here too before I clean up. I don't need no trash getting in there. All right, outside I go. Okay, and this is where I do it differently than most people. Most people take the whole shock bottom body out, or the shock shaft out of the shock body, and change the fluid that way and bleed it that way. But I find that takes more time. Not only that, I don't get it bled quite as well. There always seems to be a little bit of air left in the system when you do it that way. That's my experience, at least. I like to do it from the compression adjuster right here. This tool, 24mm Race Tech tool, is what I'll be using to pop this off. However, if you don't have one of them tools, then you can buy them from Race Tech for about 20 bucks. Or you can take a 5/16 or a 24mm wrench and sacrifice it like this. And that will allow you to get it underneath there and get little turns at a time, but you'll be able to get it off that way. I've done a lot of shocks like that. That's why this has been cut out like that. I've had to use it before, but that will allow you to take that off. But since we have this tool here, that's what I'll be using. This can come out frosty, the oil, if it's old. I'm going to check that I released the nitrogen pressure real well. I know I already released it, but I'm going to hit it one more time. Take that cap off. There we go. There's a little bit more in there. There comes the frosty fluid. It's not too bad though. At 100 hours, I'm sure this is one's never been serviced before. So we're going to pull this whole stack out like this. I'm just going to set that over here on a clean rag. And now we have to drain the oil out of this shock. I'll just stroke the shock. Let the fluid come out. Woo, it's frosty. Look in here. This show of fluid comes out like that for whatever reason. Let me work it out of the reservoir area. You got to kind of rotate the shock around, get it all out of there. Okay, I believe that's good. Okay, now I'm just going to pour a little bit of SS25. That's the fluid we'll be using. Yes, I know it does say Honda on the bottle, but this is your Showa fluid right here, SS25. I'm going to pour a little bit in here just to kind of work it around and flush out the rest of the fluid in there. Not looking to put too much in there, just enough that we can kind of work it around and then dump that out. And that's just going to help me collect the last little bit of fluid in there. Again, the shock's in good shape. It's not like it's coming apart or anything. So there's not really any debris or anything in the shock we're looking to get out. There's no particles. All we're really looking to do is just get all the old fluid out, and this flush will allow us to do that. You know, your exhaust butt plugs, pretty convenient. I use these. I cut them up like this, the size I need. And for this, I'll be plugging it right here, and I'm going to take that little bit of fluid in there and kind of just work it up into the reservoir area. Kind of let it get up in there and collect that's in there. And now I'll bring it back down into the shock body. Give it a couple more strokes. And then we'll dump that out of there. Alright, let's dump her on out. Fluid looks good now. Get it all out of there. I'm just going to set this upside down for a little bit and let it continue to drip dry. Okay, time to start filling her up with some fresh fluid. Bring that back down because I want to wash that shaft, the seal in here as I bleed it. Sometimes these can slide up into the body, and so I have the cover down here so I can just keep my eye on it and make sure it's not sliding in. It doesn't hurt anything when it slides in. It just interrupts your bleeding process. Now what I'm going to do is take that SS25 and just fill up the body. Get it almost to the top. You can see it right there. It's almost at the top. And just start small. You'll see the air bubbles come out. You see how I'm twisting the shaft down right here as I'm sliding up? That kind of helps relieve some of the friction, so it's less likely to push that seal up. Now I'm going to pull down quick. More air bubbles come out. See the air bubbles there? There comes some more. Oh. Alright. Now I'm just going to keep doing that until no more air bubbles come up. If you have to add more fluid, you want to keep the fluid at this level in this neck area right here. If it starts going down in this body, you've got to add more because that can allow air to get in there. Look at all them air bubbles. So I'm going to put the camera up here so you can see up closer. Here you go. How's that? All right. So you can see that the fluid is still up in this neck area. That's where we want it. We don't want it going too low and going up in the body. See the air bubbles coming out here? Remember, you want to twist this shaft as you slide it in. And when you pull it out, you can just pull it straight out. Watch the air bubbles. See all them air bubbles? So we're just going to keep doing that until pretty much no air bubbles come out of the inner the shock body anymore. And then we'll bleed the reservoir. That'll be last. This can take a few minutes, so just be patient. You definitely want to work out the air bubbles. So you're going to want to take the time to do this real well. Some more air bubbles. Let's do it. We're getting closer. All right, here we go. I like to pull them down with some force. That kind of helps push the air bubbles out of the valving. And by the way, it might look like I'm doing this flat on the table, but this shock is at a slight angle like that because of these collars right here. It's at a slight angle, which allows the air bubbles to slide up and out. So and then I'll sit here and lift it up like this, cock it up a little bit too. That kind of speeds them up coming out. All right, let's do it again. I don't think there's a single air bubble on that one, so I think we're almost there. Let's do it again. Here we go. Oh wait, 2 air bubbles right there. Anytime I see an air bubble, I'll do it another time or two. But we're pretty much almost there. One air bubble there. All right, I'm gonna do this a few more times. Make sure I get it all cleaned out or bled out, and I'll be right back. Okay, I think she's fully bled. Let's see. Try one more time here. I just sat there and stroked her about a good 5 or 6 more times. But let's see if an air bubble comes out now. We're looking good, guys. She is bled. We can start on the reservoir here, the bladder. I'm going to fill this all the way to the top. Make sure your shaft is all the way down, by the way, the whole time. Here we go. Okay. Then I'll take this cap that I have, the butt plug cut off, set it over this, and then I'm going to turn it to like this, and you will literally feel the air bubbles pop up out of the bladder. You'll see the level went down here. Fill it back up real quick. All I'm doing is I'm working that fluid into the bladder area. See how it went down again? And let me check one more time that there is no pressure in here. Oh! You want that bladder relaxed. So keep hitting that Schrader valve, letting the pressure out as you do this job until you finally fill it up with nitrogen, because you want that bladder to just relax into its natural state and position. Alright, let's try it again. I didn't really feel any air bubbles that time. Oh, I think I felt maybe one. Yeah, she's still looking full. So let me go do that again. I'm going to sit here and rotate it all around, make sure all the air bubbles make it out. All right, that's looking good. Let me hit this Schrader valve one more time, see what we got. It's not doing anything. Fill it back all the way up to the top. There we go. Take that cup right here, pour some fluid in it. There we go, because I'm going to take the compression stack right here and just dip it in there. And just kind of spin it around, work the fluid all in there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out and real quickly put it in there before most of that fluid has time to escape. They also put a little hole, I don't know if you can see it in the video, right here, up top, right here. You see that little hole right there? And that's going to allow, when we're setting this down in here, it's going to allow the air to escape outward and out the top and fill this whole stack with fluid. But I still like to get it started and work all the air bubbles out of there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to move quick here. Here we go. Now let me show you what I'm doing here. Remember that little hole that I showed you that's on top, just underneath the ring? It's on this side right here. I want to slide it. I want to have that at the highest point. So I'm going to put it right here. That's the highest point as I slide this down. And I'll see the last air bubble come out. There we go. That nice and tight. All right, wipe up the shock and we'll go fill her up with nitrogen. Now if you don't have nitrogen at your house, most people don't, you can take it to most of your motorcycle shops. Just call around and find out which shop has a service department that has nitrogen, and while you're there, let them know what PSI you want to set it at. 150 is a good number. Most shocks are set around 147 from Japan, but I just round up to 150. And don't stroke the shaft until you get nitrogen pressure in. Once you have it all sealed, once you have it all bled and sealed up, do not start stroking the shaft, because the nitrogen pressure in here produces pressure throughout the whole shock and the oil and stuff, and that's what pushes a tight grab on the sealant here and allows the seal to seal on the shaft, and so you don't lose your fluid. So if you start stroking it with no nitrogen pressure, you could start losing fluid on the shaft. So do not stroke it until we get nitrogen in it. Let's go put some nitrogen in it. Okay, down here in a cubby hole I have a nitrogen tank. I picked this up from a welding supply. Actually, my wife's father picked it up for me, for a welding supply full of nitrogen. I went on eBay and picked up these gauges right here. They're to fill up on race cars, the nitrogen shocks. They're little gauges to allow them to choose the pressure, but you need that because these things typically come at about 3,000 or 4,000 PSI. Right now I only have 1,000 in it, and you don't want to be putting that much in a shock. So what I'm going to do is turn it on. I got this one set at about 205, but that's because this gauge is not really accurate. At 205, it should put me at about 160 PSI in the shock, and then I'll be able to bleed the shock down to 150. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. Well, this shock I'm going to have to get a little bit creative. I wasn't able to get this piece in there to fill up with nitrogen because that Schrader valve is recessed in the hole there. So I have this fitting on here. Let me connect it up, and I'll fill her up with nitrogen. Okay, got nitrogen in her. Have her at 158 PSI, but I'm just going to bleed it down again with this air shock tool right here. It's digital, it's real accurate. I'm going to bleed it down to 150. So like I said, that I have that regulator on that set to put about 160 PSI in a shock. That way I can bleed it down. There it is. Now we just remove this. Then I'm going to cap it off real quick and use a pair of needle nose to tighten that down pretty tight. You want these pretty tight because it is your safety seal, I guess you can say. If that Schrader valve was ever to dribble a little bit of pressure out, this cap right here has a rubber seal on it, and that will be your last line of defense of holding your nitrogen in. There we go. And if you're doing this at home and you wondered where I found a the adapter to be able to put nitrogen in there, I actually found this because remember I said the other one was too fat, wouldn't go in that recessed hole. I actually got this from a fuel pump injection tester kit. So it has a little Schrader valve hook up right there, and it connected directly to the nitrogen hose on my nitrogen tank. So that worked out really good. Okay, let's see how she does now. Let's compress her and let's see how. I don't hear any air. It definitely comes up quicker now because we have the, remember we found that at 117 psi, and now we got her back up to 150. All right, let me pop this cap back on. There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and set the compression, the rebound. Remember it was 11 clicks, and I did it opposite, and I went all the way out. So now I just have to turn 11 clicks inward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And these two dots are lined up. I don't think he's ever even changed the rebound setting in this bike before, but that's fine. Slide that back down. And now let's see how she does. It's gonna move up a little bit slower. Now we add a rebound and go down slower because it is tension. Yep, there it is. It is tension. Rebound. They call it rebound in America, but in some other countries they call it tension because it does do both compression and rebound at the same time. A lot of people don't know that, but that is the case. All right, we have the pink one. Oh, can't forget the collar here. Let's slide the collar on and see if there's an up or down side. Nope. And then the pink mark downward. There's two. Some springs have a top and a bottom, some don't. If you don't know, try both ways and see which way it fits this upper collar best and the lower collar, and put it in that way. Okay, we have this thing. Now remember, we have to, there's this edge right here that faces downward on this. And then I'll put this clip back into its groove. Or in its seat. There we go. That should have pushed in. Yes, it did. All right, all we have to do now is just set the preload on the spring again, and this job will be complete. Well, pretty much about there. Let's count the lines here. I got that little index mark right there lined up with these straight lines. So let's see. Hold on, started here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Double check again. It's lined up perfectly. Actually, I think it should probably be just this way, just the hair. There we go. And now all I have to do is lock this back in. So let me tighten that up. And make sure you put this in a position where you'll be able to access it when the shock is on the bike. So if you have to change your sag setting. I'm going to tighten it now, but when I go to put it back on the bike, I might end up loosening it up and moving it to a different position so it's easy to reach when the shock's on the bike, so if we have to make any sag changes. Now another thing that's kind of important to do is to make sure that the rebound clicker right here is on the same side as the compression clicker. That'll make your tuner happy if you have someone helping you out setting up your suspension, because they're both on the same side. That's the way they come from factory. I mean, you can spin around the other way. It's not going to hurt anything. It just means you'd have to walk from one side of the bike to the other as you're doing your changes at the track. So yeah, there she is, guys. This shock is done and ready to go. Fully serviced, nitrogen pressure at 150 and SS25 fluid, bled, ready to go. All that's left now is putting it back on the bike. Well, I appreciate you guys watching this. As always, I appreciate all my subscribers. If you like this kind of stuff, click subscribe. And I finally figured out where I'm going to be riding this weekend. I will be going to Lazy Spring on Saturday. Now, I'm not sure which bike I'll be taking out yet. The 125 or my YZ250. It's way back here in the corner of this shed. Look at her. I might take her out this weekend. We'll see. She's ready to go. All I have to do is just put a fresh air filter in it. But it is Friday, so that's good. To start getting my bikes ready. And I'll see you guys out there. I hope everyone has a good weekend of riding. Be safe, and catch you guys next time.